ever make a full plan for your day and then you sit down to get started on it and new urgent items or tasks pop up, leaving you to wonder what you should be working on next? Do you complete the urgent items? Do you stick to your plan? Do you try to fit these new tasks somewhere in your day, even though you know full well that you already had a full day of work planned out for yourself? So there really isn't any time to get your full plan done and all of these extra tasks, right? This is a very common situation and a dilemma that causes us to lose time, to break momentum, and it can ultimately cause you to miss or to push off high priority items that really should be done in a day because you've been distracted by new and urgent tasks that kind of are popping up in your view and taking your attention away. So what is the solution for this? For me, the solution is a planner inbox. So if you're not familiar with this concept, a planner inbox is essentially a designated space in your planner where you can collect and organize all of your incoming information, tasks, and ideas, right? So let me go ahead and actually give you guys an overhead view of a planner inbox that I have right here to kind of illustrate this point to you. So this is an example of a planner inbox. It says prioritized inbox on the top because this gives you a space to write down new items and it gives you an opportunity to prioritize the item, right? By determining if this is a next action item, so something you plan to do next in your day. If it's something you've got to wait on some other information or whatnot before you can act, if it's perhaps a new task that actually belongs to another project, right? You can designate it that way. If it's something that is involved with your schedule or something that you need to actually schedule for another day or another time to work on, that's another option. If it's a someday item, maybe it was just like an idea you had that you thought, oh, this would be a great idea to do one day, and you wanted to capture the information, but you don't need to act on it. You have a designation for that. And we also have a designation for reference. So it's just some information that you just need to keep for reference, right? You have that listed out on this example of an inbox. So when it comes down to actually using a planner inbox to stay productive and organized and focused on your most important tasks, I have a couple of steps or tips that we can review to help you make the most of this concept. The first tip is that you need to designate a specific space in your planner for the inbox. So if you're going to use an insert like the one I'm showing, that's awesome. If you just want to have a designated page of your planner, and perhaps what you'll do is instead of listing out new tasks and ideas on that page directly, maybe you'll use a sticky note system, right? To actually capture the information, and you'll just kind of organize the sticky notes on the page just as a place to capture that raw information. But whatever it is, we first need to designate a specific place that we're going to go to anytime we have new tasks, information, or ideas that pop up. So we need to know where that place is going to be. Next tip is that we need to start using that inbox location to collect all of the new incoming information, right? So whenever you receive new information, such as an email or a meeting agenda, you need to add it to your planner inbox. This is going to help you keep everything in one place and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. So there's no exception. So all new information goes on the inbox. And I know that this is going to be something that takes a little time to get used to, but we do have to be a little mindful as we're going through our day, and maybe you just leave your planner open to the planner inbox so it makes it a little easier for you to remember to use it. But we need to kind of build up that muscle and start using the inbox if it's going to be useful for us. Now, the next tip here is that we really need to make sure that we are processing our inbox regularly. So once you've started collecting information in your planner inbox, it's important to actually take a pause in your day and review that information to understand what its prioritization is, right? So you understand where it's going to fit into your current plan or if it needs to be put somewhere else or dealt with in another way, right? So this means that, number one, I think you need to make sure that you've set aside time in your day at some logical points for you to actually take a few minutes and organize the new items on your inbox, right? So maybe that'll be in, a few times in your day, like in your midweek mid-morning break, right? Maybe you take you work in the morning and then you go get a coffee and you come back to your desk to start a new batch of items. Then you could just check your inbox and make sure that you understand what's on there and the priority level of the things that are on there and determine what you're going to do about those tasks, right? So processing it regularly is important, and having those natural points in your day where you're going to stop to do the processing is essential, right? Because if you don't do that, essentially all the inbox is another task list that maybe you're actually just working off of this task list as opposed to working off of the plan you made already for your day. And that's not actually helping us be more productive now, is it? No, 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 right? So when it comes down to actually prioritizing each of the items or, processing each of the items, you want to make sure that you review each item and you understand what the specific action is that needs to be taken, whether you need to add it to your to-do list today or next week, or you need to schedule something, or you need to put it somewhere else, that information somewhere else in a notebook or in a file or something like that for reference. We are going to make sure we know what we need to do with that, and we have a plan for how we're going to tackle those items without throwing our existing plan into the wind, right? That's what this is all about. Now, a little side tip here when it comes to processing your inbox is that there is this rule of thumb in the productivity community that you may want to exercise while you're processing your inbox. And that is that if the item takes less than 2 minutes to work on, like you could just get it done real quick, then you should just do the item right now. So if it means adding something to your calendar real quick, add it to your calendar real quick. If it means, just doing something real quick, do it real quick, right? If it means making a call real quick, make the call real quick, right? If you anticipate that the thing will only take you 2 minutes or less to do, then you should do it now. Don't leave it on your inbox for later, right? Because then all we're doing is, again, collecting a list of things to do later. When they're easy things, we should just get them off of our plate, and then you can just cross them off the inbox because they're done. So the next tip I have for you when it comes to using your planner inbox is, if you're using a prioritized inbox like this one, right, I would recommend something like this because it makes it easy for you to clearly designate what action needs to be taken on each task. But if you're not using a planner inbox that looks like this or something similar, consider using color coding or symbols, right, in order for you to keep track of what the action is that you need to take on the item, right? This is going to make it much easier to process the inbox and get the things done, and even to bulk like tasks together that are on this inbox, because you clearly know, you've already judged what the action is, and you could maybe do a bunch of them together. So if a couple of things on your inbox are, making calls or confirming plans or whatnot, or sending a few emails, you could do all those things together in the same context. That's like bulking your work, right? So that you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and that's a much more productive and strategic way to spend your time. So if you can use some sort of system, either color coding or symbols, or an inbox that looks something like this, that's going to help you organize that information better, I highly recommend it. And then the final tip that I have for you on how to use a planner inbox is that you really need to make sure you keep that inbox up to date. So it's really important that you are filtering through this inbox and making sure you're crossing off items that are done, right? We don't want to leave anything in a limbo state, right? We want to be processing the inbox regularly throughout our day, just so we know what the next action is that we need to do on it, and put the item maybe in its proper place. But we also want to make sure we're keeping the inbox clean, right? So we want to make sure we're crossing things out. And, if you have an insert like this, maybe you're refreshing an insert, adding a new insert, whatever it is. If you're using a page with sticky notes, you want to make sure you get rid of the old sticky notes, right? Because we want to make sure that you're actually able to always look at this page, right? Whenever you stop to process, you always are able to look at this and understand what actually needs to be done, not things that have already been done, right? So we want to make it clear what work you actually have to do based on this inbox. Okay, so I hope that this information has helped you to understand how to use a planner inbox so that you can stay on top of all your incoming information and tasks and ensure that nothing new falls through the cracks, but at the same time, you're setting aside and allowing yourself to actually execute on the plans that you've already set for yourself for the day. Now, the one last thing that I wanted to add at the end of this was I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you deal with new urgent priority tasks coming up and whether or not we're allowing them to interrupt our current work or not. So just an example, right? This prioritized inbox is a great place for you to put in new information as you're getting it. So let's say you get an email, you see an action, you write it down. Oh, you think of something, you write it down. Oh, you take a phone call or someone walks into your office or whatnot, or you see a DM or a message and you write it out to deal with it later. But what do you do when, let's say, your boss calls and says, hey, I absolutely need you to run this report for me right now, right? This is urgent, right? Your boss says something like that. I have this thing I need you to do. It is urgent. Okay, so let's say that's urgent, but you're also working on right now. You're in the middle of something equally as important, right? Like let's say you're working on another report that's, for a customer pitch that's super important, okay? Whatever it is, you're also working on a high priority item right now. So your boss or your manager or supervisor, someone who has the ability to tell you what to do essentially, right? Gets in contact with you and tells you, you need to do this, this is urgent. Now, of course, you probably need to be listening to this person because they're a superior of yours, but you also need to do a little bit more communicating if you're currently in a situation where you're working on something very important as well. So what I would do in that situation is I would say to my supervisor or whatnot, I would say, okay, I understand that this report is urgent. Now, I just want to make it clear to you that right now I'm working on the Miller proposal, right? Which I know is also important. So do you want me to stop what I'm doing right now to run this report and get it to you? Or I think I only have about an hour left of work on this report. Can I start working on your item after that? That's it. Just let your boss know that you're working on something urgent right now, like something you think is important right now. So do they want you to interrupt your current work to give you this urgent thing, right? Is it really urgent or did they just say it was urgent, right? So I think that you just do a little bit of communicating, right, with the person who's assigned you a task. And that can go a long way at helping you to clearly prioritize and manage things, especially if you're an employee for someone else. Obviously, if your supervisor says to you, no, I need you to give me this report right now. Hold off on the report you're working on or the proposal you're working on. I need this right now. Then it's urgent, right? But maybe they'll say, oh, you know what? It is urgent. I need it today at the end of the day, right? So you may also want to, in your follow-up communications, ask them what time they need it by, right? Because that can also give you some more information so that you're not blowing up your entire plan because someone used the word urgent or said something was important, and maybe it is important, but it's not that important, right? So we have to make sure that we do a little communication on our end, right? So that we can get all the information we need to make the proper choices on what actually is urgent, what's worth interrupting our current work for, and what's not worth interrupting our current work for, because that's the purpose of the inbox. The inbox is there to be a place that captures information for us so that when we're ready to look at it, right, when we have a natural break in our work already, we can go ahead and go in and actually organize it and maybe do some of the things or, put them where they need to be, right? So we just don't want to be constantly interrupting our own work, right? And that's really a muscle that we end up having to grow for ourselves, right? So practice some of these strategies, put these tips in action, start using a planner inbox. And of course, I want to remind you that if you're someone who digital plans, right, you use like an app or you use an iPad or whatever, you can use this too, right? So if you use like software, you can, create a place, just designate some place in your software, like maybe a new note or something else, like a fresh list that's going to be the place that's your inbox, right? So this is not just something that applies to people with paper planners, but by all means, paper planner users, we have a lot more options, right? With, different inserts we might be able to use for this. So do what works for you, use what works for you. Just make sure you've designated that specific space. That was tip number 1, okay? So I hope that this information has been helpful in teaching you about a planner inbox, how to use it, and giving you a little bit of a strategy to help you dig in to whether or not you should be interrupting your work when something new and urgent pops up, right? Because I always think we have the ability to always ask questions, find out more, to really understand the true urgency of something, because I don't want to interrupt a really good workflow for something that, someone's saying, oh, I need it soon, but I don't need it right now, right? Like I need it by the end of the day. That's how, urgent it is, right? So make sure you're asking the important questions. Make sure you're growing that prioritization muscle for yourself so that you're really understanding and able to discern priority of tasks so that you're not ruining your full day of plans, right? So let me know how it goes in the comments. Let me know if you use a planner inbox, or if you like this idea, if this is new to you, let me know what you're thinking about it and what you're thinking you might use. I want to hear about it. So let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure you're following me on social media at MissTrenchcoat. And if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.